Famous American singer Linda Ronstadt has recently announced that she has Parkinson's disease and can no longer sing. Known for hits like You're No Good and Blue Bayou, Linda has always been a bit mysterious despite her fame. Her life is filled with both success and the loneliness that often comes with it. How did she handle her success, and what shaped her unique perspective? Join us as we explore how, at 77, Linda Ronstadt finally admits what many suspected. Linda Ronstadt was born in 1946. Her childhood was a mix of different influences. She has Mexican and white heritage, with a Mexican father and a white mother. Raised in Tucson, Arizona, her parents supported her musical career and greatly influenced her musical upbringing. Her father, Gilbert Ronstadt, was a machinery merchant who loved traditional Mexican music and passed this love to Linda and her siblings. Her mother, Ruth Ronstadt, loved classical operas and introduced Linda to classical music as a child. Linda's passion for music grew, and she began singing locally with her siblings. Tucson's landscape inspired the soulful depth in her voice that would define her career. Everything started with her band, the Stone Ponies. They had a hit called Different Drum in 1967, and Linda's powerful voice quickly brought her global fame. She became a pioneer, exploring various music genres. Her albums were a journey through country, pop, and rock, showcasing her talent in each. In 1969, she made history as a solo artist with Hand-Sewn Homegrown, considered the first alternative country record by a female artist. Linda navigated through genres, topping charts with hits like Heart Like a Wheel in 1974, Simple Dreams in 1977, and Living in the USA in 1978. She broke barriers, conquering stages and arenas usually reserved for male artists, earning titles like the Queen of Rock and the First Lady of Rock. She was the top female pop singer of the 1970s and appeared on the covers of Rolling Stone, Newsweek, and Time multiple times. In the 1980s, Ronstadt performed on Broadway, earning a Tony nomination for The Pirates of Penzance. She collaborated with composer Philip Glass, recorded traditional music, and worked with conductor Nelson Riddle, an unusual move for a rock artist. This venture was successful, and Ronstadt remained one of the music industry's top-selling acts throughout the 1980s, with multi-platinum albums like Mad Love, What's New, Canciones de mi Padre, and Cry Like a Rainstorm, Howl Like the Wind. But like every artist, it wasn't all glitz and glam for Linda. She faced a lot of sexism in the music industry, which made her work twice as hard to earn her spot. She talked about how lonely it was to be on the road. Despite her solo success, she was still under contract with Capitol Records. In 1969, she released her first solo album, Hand-Sewn Homegrown, and contributed to the Free Creek Super Session project. She even did vocals for commercials, including one for Remington electric razors with Frank Zappa. Her second solo album, Silk Purse, came out in March 1970. It was recorded in Nashville and produced by Elliot Mazer, whom Janis Joplin had recommended. The album cover showed Linda in a muddy pig pen, while the back and inside covers showed her on stage in bright red. Linda wasn't happy with the album, but it gave her her first solo hit, Long, Long Time, and earned her a Grammy nomination for Best Contemporary Vocal Performance, Female. After going solo in the late 1960s, Linda's first backing band was Swamp Water, a pioneering country rock band with Cajun and swamp rock elements. The members included St. John Fiddler, Gib Gilbo, John Bellin, who later joined the Flying Burrito Brothers, Stan Pratt, Thad Maxwell, and Eric White, brother of Clarence White of the Byrds. Swamp Water backed Linda on The Johnny Cash Show, The Mike Douglas Show, and at the Big Sur Folk Festival. Another backing band included Don Henley, Glenn Frey, Bernie Leadon, and Randy Meisner, who later formed the Eagles. They toured with her briefly in 1971 and played on her third album, which included the single Rock Me on the Water. During this time, Linda worked with producer and boyfriend John Boylan. She said, "As soon as I started working with John Boylan, I started co-producing myself. I was always a part of my productions, but I always needed a producer who would carry out my whims." In 1971, Linda began talking with David Geffen about moving from Capitol Records to Geffen's Asylum Records. She also performed shows with Jackson Browne, the Eagles, and Toots and the Maytals, singing lead on songs like the Eagles' Desperado and playing tambourine and acoustic guitar on others. Several years before Linda became what author Jerry Hershey called the first arena-class rock diva, she started her solo career touring North America. Being on the road took an emotional and professional toll. In a 1976 Rolling Stone interview, Linda said, "They haven't invented a word for that loneliness that everybody goes through on the road. The world is tearing by you real fast, and all these people are looking at you. People see me in my girl singer suit." In 1974, she told Crawdaddy magazine, "People are always taking advantage of you. Everybody that's interested in you has got an angle." Few female singers were on the rock circuit then, and they were often treated like groupies. Linda avoided relating to men professionally as fellow musicians, leading to competition, insecurity, bad romances, and a series of boyfriend managers. She admired singers like Maria Muldaur for not sacrificing their femininity, but felt pressured to compete with male musicians. In a 1969 Fusion magazine interview, she said it was tough being a single female singer with an all-male backup band. According to her, it was hard to get a band because male musicians had ego problems with being labeled sidemen for a female singer. In 1973, Linda began her fourth solo album, Don't Cry Now, with Boylan, who had negotiated her contract with Asylum Records, and John David J.D. Souther, who produced most of the tracks. Wanting someone who would work with her as an equal, she asked Peter Asher, recommended by James Taylor's sister Kate Taylor, to help produce 2 tracks, Sail Away and I Believe in You. The album featured Linda's first country hit, Silver Threads and Golden Needles, which she had first recorded on Hand-Sewn Homegrown. This time it hit the country top 20. With the release of Don't Cry Now, she took on her biggest gig yet, opening for Neil Young on his Time Fades Away tour, playing for larger crowds than ever before. Backstage at a concert in Texas, Chris Hillman introduced her to Emmylou Harris, predicting they would become good friends, which they did, leading to many collaborations over the years. The album became Linda's most successful up to that point, selling 300,000 copies by the end of 1974. Asher proved to be more collaborative and musically in sync with her than any previous producer. Their professional relationship allowed Linda to take command and delegate responsibilities in the recording studio. Though Asher was initially hesitant to work with her due to her strong opinions and clear career vision, he agreed to become her full-time producer, a role he held through the late 1980s. Asher credited the success of his working relationship with Linda to their solely professional relationship. "It's a lot harder to have objective conversations about someone's career when it's someone you sleep with," he said. Self-doubt creeps in. Superstar Linda Ronstadt had her moments of self-doubt, often questioning her abilities. In a 2019 documentary, her former manager revealed that she would worry whenever she saw people whispering at her concerts. She would assume they were saying she was the worst singer ever. In an interview, Linda shared that she felt she didn't sing well enough and that it took her a while to forget about everything else and just immerse herself in the music. She had a magical connection with music that transcended her self-doubt. At her concerts, Linda preferred not to see familiar faces in the audience, as it made her uneasy. She couldn't understand why people came to see her perform. As a public figure, she faced unique challenges. Constant scrutiny made it hard for her to observe others, and relationships were a puzzle. Spending so much time on a tour bus, she compared a musician's life to Seafaring Tales by Joseph Conrad. Like the repetitive life of sailors, touring involved the same routine of buses, hotels, sound checks, dinners, and performances. Despite the strain of life on the road, Linda did have relationships, though many assumed she didn't. While rising in the music world, she had several high-profile relationships. Even though she dated influential figures from entertainment and politics, she chose not to marry. Rumors circulated about her love life, suggesting her single status was due to her sexual orientation and fear of rejection. However, in an interview, she shared a different perspective. Linda expressed a desire to find love and marry the right person. She emphasized that she wouldn't bend to societal expectations. It was about finding someone who would make her heart sing. What did Linda Ronstadt think was the right person for her? She said the ideal person must be loyal and caring. A good sense of humor was also important. Someone who could make her laugh had an advantage. They also needed to share her love for music and understand her well. Despite dating men who loved music, none became her life partner. Linda later explained why she stayed single. While others were settling down and starting families, she focused on making music for her fans. She chose to prioritize her music career over traditional views on marriage. She laughed and said that marriage was not a priority for her because she was a serial monogamist. Her laughter showed her carefree attitude. Her career was very important to her, and she didn't want marriage to distract her from it. In 1970, Linda had a serious relationship with Grammy winner John Bond. They lived together, and Bond even helped revive Linda's career. They were committed to each other for several years, but things changed when they decided to live together. Linda told Rolling Stone in 2019 that their relationship fell apart at that point. She was looking for someone who understood her ambitions and supported her choices. Despite their personal breakup, they continued to work together and respected each other's talent. After breaking up with Bond, Linda found love again with J.D. Souther. They lived together and spent 2 years together, working on songs like Faithless Love, Simple Man, Simple Dreams, and Prisoner in Disguise. Their romantic relationship ended in 1974, and J.D. admitted he couldn't quite remember why. Linda also had a brief romance with Bill Murray in the 1980s. In 1983, she dated comedian Jim Carrey for 8 months. From late 1983 to 1988, Linda was engaged to George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. They met backstage at one of Linda's concerts. Although they kept their relationship private, it ended in 1988. In the 1970s, Linda had a high-profile relationship with California Governor Jerry Brown. The relationship was intense and matched their unconventional personalities. They split their time between homes in Los Angeles and Malibu. "We didn't go out in public much," Brown said in 2016. "It was a pain in the neck." Ronstadt and Brown enjoyed each other's company for several years. In her 2013 memoir, Simple Dreams, she described him as smart, funny, and disciplined, unlike many men she knew in rock and roll. She found this refreshing. Although she wasn't interested in politics, she sometimes played the role of an unofficial first lady. She liked social events and wasn't shy about interacting with royals. When Brown ran for president in 1980, Linda organized 2 concerts to support him. However, Brown didn't win any primaries and had to drop out of the race. Linda, who had always loved children, decided to adopt. In December 1990, she adopted a baby girl, Mary Clementine Ronstadt. In 1994, she adopted a baby boy, Carlos Ronstadt. After living in Los Angeles for 30 years, Linda moved to San Francisco in the late 1980s because she never felt at home in Southern California. She found Los Angeles too confining and didn't like its values of glamour, wealth, and importance. In 1997, she sold her San Francisco home and moved back to her hometown of Tucson, Arizona, to raise her children. In recent years, she moved back to San Francisco but still keeps her home in Tucson. In August 2013, Linda announced she had Parkinson's disease, which affected her ability to sing due to muscle control problems. She had been diagnosed 8 months earlier and had initially thought her symptoms were from shoulder surgery and a tick bite. By late 2019, doctors revised her diagnosis to progressive supranuclear palsy, a disease often confused with Parkinson's because the symptoms are similar. Linda describes herself as a spiritual atheist. While she didn't want to get involved in politics, she was outspoken about political issues and what she believed was right. During her performance at the Aladdin Theater in Las Vegas on July 17, 2004, Linda praised Michael Moore's documentary Fahrenheit 9/11 Inches and dedicated the song Desperado to him. The audience's reaction was mixed. Some applauded while others booed. After the concert, Linda was reported to have been evicted from the hotel. The incident sparked national discussion about whether entertainers should express political opinions from the stage. It made international headlines and was discussed in the New York Times editorial section. After the incident, many of Linda's friends, including the Eagles, quickly canceled their shows at the Aladdin. She also got support from rock and roll stars worldwide, like the Rolling Stones, the Eagles, and Elton John. Despite mixed public reactions, she continued to praise Michael Moore and his film during her 2004 and 2006 summer concerts in North America. At a 2006 concert in Canada, Linda told the Calgary Sun that she was embarrassed by George Bush as a U.S. president. She called him an idiot and incompetent, both domestically and internationally. She also said that being misled about the reasons for the Iraq War and the resulting deaths was as immoral as racism. Her comments made international headlines. In an August 14, 2007 interview, Linda looked back on her outspoken views, especially the Aladdin incident. She said she would be more gracious and respectful if she could do it again. You can be outspoken if you are very, very respectful. Show some grace. In 2007, Linda lived in San Francisco, but also kept her home in Tucson. That year, she got both criticism and praise from Tucson residents for saying that the city council, developers' focus on strip malls, greed, and growing dust, made Tucson unrecognizable and poorly developed. In a well-known interview with Planet Out Inc., Linda Ronstadt spoke out in favor of gay rights and same-sex marriage, saying, "Homophobia is anti-family values. Period. End of story." On January 16, 2010, she joined thousands of activists in a national day of action. As a native Arizonan from a law enforcement family, she was concerned about how illegal aliens were treated under Arizona's immigration law, particularly Sheriff Joe Arpaio's actions. On April 29, 2010, she joined a lawsuit against Arizona's SB 1070, calling it harmful and saying that police shouldn't use force in a democracy, a lesson she learned from her brother Peter, who was a police chief in Tucson. Linda has also been active on environmental and community issues. She supports Wes Jackson, a leader in sustainable agriculture, and praised his work in 2000, calling it the most important in the U.S. She dedicated the song Desperado to him at a concert in Kansas City in August 2007. Linda has been recognized for her contributions to the arts. On September 23, 2007, she was inducted into the Arizona Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame with Stevie Nicks, Buck Owens, and Steven Spielberg. She received a tribute from artists like B.B. Winans and Winona Judd, and was honored with the Trailblazer Award at the 2008 Alma Awards, which aired on ABC. In 2008, she was named Artistic Director of the San Jose Mariachi and Mexican Heritage Festival. She also spoke to Congress, urging them to allocate $200 million for the National Endowment for the Arts in the 2010 fiscal year. Linda Ronstadt's legacy is significant. Author Andrew Greeley in God and Popular Culture called her the most successful and gifted woman rock singer of her era, showing her wide popularity beyond just the singles charts. Dirty Linen magazine said she was the first true woman rock and roll superstar, known for selling out stadiums and having many successful albums. Amazon.com labeled her the American female rock superstar of the decade, and Cashbox named her the top-selling female singer of the 1970s. Her album covers, posters, and magazine appearances were as famous as her music. By the end of the decade, Chicago Sun-Times called her the Dean of the 1970s female rock singers, and Redbook described her as the most successful female rock star in the world. Time magazine noted how rare it was for a woman to succeed in the tough rock industry. Although Linda had been a favorite in the music world for years, 1975 was seen as the year she truly broke through. Her three biggest selling albums are Simple Dreams, 1977, What's New, 1983, and Cry Like a Rainstorm, Howl Like the Wind, 1989, each certified for over 3 million copies sold. Her highest-selling album is the 1976 compilation Greatest Hits, which had sold over 7 million copies by 2001. Linda was the first major female artist to sell out large venues on tour. She was also the top-grossing solo female concert artist of the 1970s. She continued to have successful tours into the 1990s before choosing to perform in smaller venues. In the 1970s, Cashbox magazine named her the #1 female artist of the decade. Rolling Stone included Heart Like a Wheel, 1974, at number 164, and The Very Best of Linda Ronstadt, 2002, at number 324 on its list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. In the 2012 update, only the compilation remained, and it was moved to the spot previously held by Heart Like a Wheel. Her album sales have not been certified since 2001. At that time, the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, certified her U.S. album sales at over 30 million. However, her former producer and manager, Peter Asher, estimated her U.S. album sales at over 45 million. Her worldwide album sales are over 100 million, according to Joe Smith, former president of Warner Brothers Records and a jury member of the Hit Parade Hall of Fame. As of 2001, her RIAA certifications included 19 gold, 14 platinum, and 7 multi-platinum albums. She was the first female artist to have 3 consecutive platinum albums and ended up with a total of 8 consecutive platinum albums. Linda's album, Living in the USA, was the first album in U.S. music history to ship over 2 million copies, making it double platinum. Her 1987 album, Canciones de mi Padre, which is entirely in Spanish, is the best-selling non-English language album in American music history. Linda has also worked as a producer for various musicians, including her cousin David Lindley, Aaron Neville, and songwriter Jimmy Webb. She produced Crystal Glass Music Through the Ages with Dennis James, an album featuring classical music played on glass instruments, and sang on some tracks. In 1999, she produced the Grammy Award-winning Trio 2. In 2016, Linda received the Lifetime Achievement Grammy from the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. Linda said that going to war with Iraq and the resulting deaths were as immoral as racism. Her comments made international headlines. In an August 14, 2007 interview, she reflected on her outspoken views, especially the Aladdin incident. She said that if she could do it again, she would be more respectful and gracious. "You can be outspoken if you are very, very respectful. Show some grace," she stated. Linda has been vocal about environmental and community issues. She strongly supports Wes Jackson, a leader in sustainable agriculture, and praised his work in 2000 as the most important in the U.S. She dedicated the song Desperado to him at a concert in Kansas City in August 2007. Linda has been recognized for her contributions to American arts. On September 23, 2007, she was inducted into the Arizona Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame with Stevie Nicks, Buck Owens, and filmmaker Steven Spielberg. She received tributes from artists like B.B. Winans and Winona Judd and was given the Trailblazer Award by Placido Domingo at the 2008 Alma Awards, which was shown on ABC. In 2008, she became the artistic director of the San Jose Mariachi and Mexican Heritage Festival. She also spoke to Congress, urging them to allocate $200 million in the 2010 budget for the National Endowment for the Arts. Author Andrew Greeley, in his book God and Popular Culture, called Linda the most successful and talented female rock singer of her time. Dirty Linen magazine said she was the first real female rock superstar, known for selling out stadiums with her hit albums. Amazon.com named her the top American female rock star of the decade. Cashbox gave her a special award as the best-selling female singer of the 1970s. Her album covers, posters, and rock image were as famous as her music. By the end of the decade, the Chicago Sun-Times called her the leading female rock singer of the 1970s, and Redbook named her the most successful female rock star in the world. Time magazine said she was a rare talent to have succeeded in the tough world of rock. Although Linda had been a popular artist for years, 1975 was seen as the year she truly broke through. Her top-selling albums include Simple Dreams, 1977, What's New, 1983, and Cry Like a Rainstorm, Howl Like the Wind, 1989, each certified for over 3 million copies sold. Her highest-selling album is the 1976 compilation Greatest Hits, which has sold over 7 million copies. By 2001, Linda was known as the first major female rock artist to sell out large venues, and the top-grossing female solo concert artist of the 1970s. She continued to tour successfully into the 1990s before choosing to perform in smaller venues. In the 1970s, Cashbox magazine named Linda the top female artist of the decade. Rolling Stone listed Heart Like a Wheel, 1974, at number 164, and The Very Best of Linda Ronstadt, 2002, at number 324 in its 500 greatest albums of all time. The 2012 list kept only the compilation, but moved it to the spot previously held by Heart Like a Wheel. As of 2001, Linda's U.S. album sales were certified by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, as over 30 million copies. Her former producer, Peter Asher, estimated her U.S. sales at over 45 million, while worldwide sales are over 100 million. Joe Smith, former president of Warner Brothers Records, reported that as of 2001, Linda had 19 gold, 14 platinum, and 7 multi-platinum albums. She was the first female artist to have 3 consecutive platinum albums and eventually earned 8 consecutive platinum albums. Her album, Living in the USA, was the first in U.S. music history to ship double platinum, over 2 million copies. Her 1987 all-Spanish album Canciones de mi Padre is the best-selling non-English language album in American music history. Linda has produced albums for several artists, including her cousin David Lindley, Aaron Neville, and Jimmy Webb. She worked on Crystal Glass Music Through the Ages with Dennis James, where she sang on some of the tracks. In 1999, she produced the Grammy Award-winning album Trio 2. In 2016, Linda received a Lifetime Achievement Grammy from the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos.